Jacob Vial. Today I'm going to be doing some port adjustment testing. So this is something very critical once you do any kind of major cabin changes, such as the roof that I just did. So today I'm going to be doing some burps and kind of identify with my meter score some of the little adjustments I can do to see how it will affect my output. And the port is the most critical part of this. So one thing I already did from the last video that you watched with the burp was I added one 1/4 inch layer right here on this leg length. So that'll be my first initial test to kind of see, hey, does it improve with me adding just a slight layer of depth to this port on this end. And then what I'll do is I'll take this off and we'll see the difference. So we'll see how it goes. And stay tuned throughout the video. If y'all guys have got any questions, let me know. So I got this out here just so I can kind of measure everything real quick in between, and some tape. So that's kind of what I use for tools. So what I'm going to do real quick is measure to see what is my actual length real quick. So we've got 7 1/4 to 7 1/2 for the width, and 14 high currently. So which is pretty big for a single 12 for anybody that knows port area, but we'll see how it goes. The smaller I shrink my port area, the better cone control I have, as well as bandwidth. But also lose on the meter sometimes, so it just depends on what you're working with. So let me go ahead and get everything adjusted to where it was last time. So I always put the seat up forward just for the burp. And let me go ahead and start the vehicle, put the meter where it was, and we'll do an initial burp. I also did retweak my tuning on my amplifier slightly, so that could also affect a little bit on the results. But you never know. So like my gain was rematched, my LPF, subsonic, all of that good stuff was tweaked slightly, so all right. Make sure I got on Bluetooth, bass knob all the way up. I'll do volume 20 for my initial test, and then I'm going to do a burp test too, of course. So I already know where I peak at, so why not? Let's just go straight into it. Since I know already, I don't need to do no sweeps to find out what I'm burping at. But peak wise, I'm just gonna go straight in, full send. So. All right, so last time it was 60 volume, but I retuned my amp to where I know I'm clipping at -5 at that tone. So that means I'm for sure clipping, or at least getting somewhere with that. And we'll find out real quick. Move this up slightly. All right. You guys got any questions ever? Feel free to ask. I'm glad to help teach people. Got my test tone out. Make sure my volume's all the way up. This is the first test on the day too. So first initial burp to see what I'm peaking at, or to see what I burp at. So we'll see how it goes. All right, let's do it. All right. 153.45, so that means adding that little bit of port length, shrunk it slightly, was a lose. So what does that mean? That means let's turn this down first off, and we need to take off that other panel, and we'll see if it's any better. So let me go do that real quick. All right, so we're gonna remember that 153.45. So we're gonna remember that number. So before it was a 153.7. So I mean, there's a couple of little changes that are variations in, hey, the temperature, seat location, how the batteries are doing, if it's a voltage or two less. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you got to work with for this. But what I'm about to do is take this out and burp it again. All right. So that comes right off. Should. Yep. So see, just easy access with the tape. take that off and then re-burp it. Find out if it does any better. Okay, so I took that out, make sure there's nothing blocking the port in that area. Go back to saying, remember what I said with, hey, let's measure the length. So before it was like 7 1/4. Now you're looking at right around 8 to 8 1/4. So you added almost a whole inch, so 3/4 inch there on that. So I took this part out, but I kept this part with this little depth I added. So me adding this little depth made me lose about 1/3 of a dB just by that little 1/4 inch. So that means that I need to open it up. So I'll open that up and see if it's any different. So me opening that up, my peak will go up 1 or 2 probably, but I'm gonna go ahead and burp a 48 again, just because we'll see if it goes up from just the 48 hertz tone first, and then we might do a 49. I don't know, we'll see. All right, I hope I'm teaching you guys something with this. This is what I do to learn. So went down another dB, or a 1/10. Okay, so I went down a 1/10, but my peak went up 1. So that means that we're really dead on, almost where it needs to be as far as, hey, that's where my peak needs to be at for my number with the port adjustment. So that's a good thing to know. So the downfall is you want to slightly shrink. Here, let me go turn this down just so it's not clipping. All right, let me go back there and explain what I just saw. So we knew that was, my initial number was, what was it? Yep, so right here, 53.45 with that extra little added thing to it. So, and of course your first initial burp is always going to be a little bit better. Your first turn on, a couple 1/10ths. So me taking this little round out actually helps me gain slightly. Actually, I mean, I could have lost, I don't know, but with the temperature. But yeah, so what I want to do going forward with this is make sure I know that my depth is right with the what's it called, this part. So make sure this width is right with where I want it to be, because if that's not right, if that part of it's not right, then that means that the whole thing is going to be thrown out. But yep, my initial test just confirmed pretty much where my port area needs to be. It needs to be a little bit wider than it was, so I might have to add this in again, or I might shrink it on this end. So we'll add to this plate and see if it's any different. There's no telling. There's so many different trials you can do. But that's one thing you can do is, sorry about that, blocking the camera. You can add this to it, so you can put this in here like this, but I can get another piece a little bit smaller, just so I can kind of visually show you guys, hey, this is what you're looking like. You're working with as far as your peak, tuning change, and some of the stuff that we battle with that. So let me show you real quick on the meter before I end this video. So just initial test you can throw in there. So this will go right here. Let's just say we shrunk the port again a little bit more. We made it work here. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll hold it in. When we get the screw, to screw it in place, and then I can do a burp real quick on it. So this can go in here. All right, that'll hold there. Let's do one more. There we go. I'm not going to tape it or anything, make it pretty, just so I can kind of show you all the concept of how this works. So I just added a little bit more leg length again to the other end. So let me show you real quick what I did. So now, before it was 8 1/4, now it's like 7 1/4 again. So almost where it was before. Not going to tape it this time. Solid. There's a couple leak points at the top and bottom, but there you go. Just using some PVC. You can also use wood. You can add length to it. But every time I add length, I know my system, I always lose. So there's no need for me to do length. So let's do 48. Burp it again. Let's find out. I think I'm gonna go up, but that's my guess. I don't know, we'll see. Well, we went down. So it could be because of voltage, it could be because I added too much to the port area. Well, that shows me opening it up, I get louder. So there's your initial answer. So that means that I get louder as I open my port up. So I lost another like 1/3 of a dB there. So still in the 53 range, but definitely showing me that I can definitely get more output out of it with it being opened up more. So I'm gonna keep that port opened up where it is. And I think that's pretty much dialed into where I wanna be on this port. I'm a little unhappy with that because my bandwidth isn't gonna be as good, but I know I'm loudest with a big ratio 4th order, with the port area being slightly larger. So that being said, I'm gonna take this out, take both panels out, and that should be my initial answer. So just on video, because I never do this, I always end early. I'm not gonna end early this time. I'm gonna actually show y'all the results. All right, I'll take these two out. Just kind of so I can show you and explain the results I saw and hopefully prove it. This one is a headache. All of this screwing and unscrewing changes to retweak your port to tuning. It's kind of annoying, but hey, that's the process of getting louder. So, see, just like that, took out that panel. So what I'll do, not even worry about taping and all, just so I can kind of visually show you the numbers. All right, so now, once again, so now it's 8.5 instead of 8 1/4. So remember the initial one was like a 53.4, 53.3 with that. So now I'm gonna go ahead, burp it again. And this will be hopefully a little louder to where it can kind of show. All right, well that makes sense. But it's gotten a little warmer, voltage has dropped a few now, so now instead of 14.8, it's 14.5. So your first initial test is normally gonna be the best. Your alternator is getting a little hotter, might lose a little bit on the voltage, and that's also because my battery bank sucks, of course. Just one battery back there. It's a 75, group 75 though, so like 180 amp hour AGM. I need around 408 amp hours, but I'm not spending the money on that. Daily driving, I don't drop below 13s because I'm not clipping. Only on burps, I drop a lot. All right, so we're gonna do a 49 hertz burp test. Make sure the volume's up. Here we go. There you go. So that kind of helped prove that point that I mentioned. I know my system really well. Thanks for watching, everybody. Subscribe if you haven't. And stay tuned for more build updates to come. So there you go, 53.4. The moment I opened up that port a little bit more, it's becoming more peaky, getting a little bit more clamped results out of this, which means that I could be getting slightly more power at that tone with that port slightly opened up, the way the subwoofer reacts. But yeah, 53.4 after 5 burps full tilt. My peak went up 1. So I personally like to peak around 46 to 48 hertz. I don't want to pass the 50 hertz range, so as long as I stay under 50, I can stay above. I can keep my musical range at 30 hertz. The moment I start falling off in more than half an octave, that's when I'm going to start struggling to be as musical. But there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. I hope I answered some questions there. It's definitely showing that I'm getting to the dial-in point of this test. So imagine if I burped. My initial burp was with this right here. Like this, I guarantee it would have been almost a 54. I'm telling you, a couple of dBs just by that. So let me fill this real quick. The subwoofer's not hot at all, but inside of that box, you got heat that builds up quickly in there. So that's kind of where I'm looking at with this. But thanks for watching. I hope I taught y'all something. And stay tuned. You never know, you could even shrink this port width slightly in game. I mean, you never know, I could open it up even more in game. But I want to stay musical. See y'all. What's going on, everybody? This is Jacob Viral, ending this video to say thank you for watching my videos. Every single day I have a daily cardio video I upload. So if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and notification bell, and I'll see you tomorrow.